Hello. I hope you guys are doing well. Spilling. I hope you've had a good Monday. I've had a decent one. Uh, Today, I talked to somebody about this whole thing, and I was just trying to explain how uncomfortable it is, like having to face how I used to judge and how, well, of course, how afraid I was and all of those things. Hi, Shannon. Um, just like we all change, over the years. And I think some of the things in the book, it's just I'm having to feel everything again. I've said this before, but I'm having to feel it in order to read it properly. When I make the official audiobook, boy, that's going to be fun, right? Get to feel it all again. And we were just talking about like how to kind of let go of that. And she said, you're really, really good. Like your superpower is self-judgment. Hey. Oh, being self-critical. That's my superpower. And it kind of is. But, the catch-22 is that, like, in order to hopefully empathize with people and have what in my life are epiphanies, it usually comes from some like a self-critical place. But my goal has kind of changed. My goal is to shift from being self-critical to being self-aware. And what you're hearing me read, and because even the commentary was from 2 years ago, and I feel like I've made leaps and bounds as far as being finally, mostly liking and absolutely loving myself, and knowing that I like the space that I take up on the earth is worth it, even if I never do another thing that's worthwhile. Like just understanding and knowing that in my cells is a very different place. And if I had known that, we wouldn't be here, because I wouldn't have written the book, because not only could I just not do the project, and just go out and do what I wanted and not have to make it into work in order to justify it, I wouldn't have needed to. You know what I mean? And so I'm very grateful. Like, thank you, past self-judgment person time. But yeah, that's changed, and it's very strange. It's very strange. So know that someday, maybe I'll go line by line and like rebut all the places I disagree with myself now. How boring. But, it's been an interesting process to see where I have and haven't changed. And I hope all of you, I guess that's the beauty of a journal, right? Where you write down what you've done in the day or what you think, and then look at it later and go, oh my God, I was clueless. I'm brewing my tea as usual. Again, with all of you who think I'm just, like it's mom's gone wild over here all the time. I get comments like that all the time. I'm drinking choice it's even decaf Earl Grey tea, but the redeeming quality for it's not being whiskey like you all think it should be is that it's in my son's space cat mug. I think that redeems it. So tonight is probably going to be a little bit of a short night, because tomorrow, like the next chapter is a 30-pager. It's a long one. And so unless I'm just feeling weird and want to keep going for a really long time tonight, I don't know, Monday night, maybe. you know, it's a little bit of a shorter one. So you guys ready? Excuse me. I'm having to like get my singing muscles back in gear because reading out loud is wrecking my throat, my voice. Okay. So two things. First, if you haven't listened to the rest of it, it is all in the link in the description. That's a YouTube channel. I will be producing more content for the YouTube channel from here on out. I don't know exactly what form it's going to take. I have plans. I have massive plans, but I'm really grounding down into going one thing at a time. And hi, Liz. Love you too. So doing like the thing that I know I need to do next and then going from there and really growing it organically. I'm not planning on sending everybody a million emails because I do this thing in social media. It's not me. However, a lot of stuff will be at that YouTube channel. It's for the Church of Wild, which grew out of this and you and your reactions. And so, yeah. So if you want to catch up, there are 12 other episodes from beginning to this point, if you want to do that. And before if I don't think I see him, I'm gonna totally like tell him myself. The other night I saw my dad join up and it was the dance chapter. And I'm still a little freaked out about that because I don't think I ever told him that my mom and I used to dance when he was at the church and that I sneaked to a dance in 9th grade. Yeah, it was surreal. I love my dad, but I don't think I've told him any of that. So, chapter 15, third time's a charm. Sorry, third time's a charm? Speaking of my father, he barely caught you. My father tells the story of my birth every year on my birthday, no matter what. My mom went to work that day as a bank teller, but had an appointment with the doctor 3 weeks before my due date. You're in labor. Get to the hospital, the doctor said. They got there and nurses whisked her off. My dad always said, I was in the waiting room and heard someone running and watched the doctor take the stairs 2 at a time. And only a few minutes later, they brought you out to me. You were so tiny. My mom would say, less than a bag of flour. This always confused me because she said it to describe how tiny I was, 4 pounds, 10 ounces. But a bag of flour seemed heavy to me. She almost died of toxemia that day. After getting the astrology reading and hearing that Mars was in my first house, raw fire, right along with my purpose, my mom cocked her head and said, yep, that sounds about right. They said you would need to be in an incubator for a week. You needed it only for 12 hours. You were tiny, but so alive. I was petrified I would break you. I took you home a week later after you were a little bigger and after she had survived. Thank God she survived. The real deal. Sorry. Real deal. Kate and I talked every day before I started the project, and our conversation about control and drinking had triggered. Oh, are we still live? Okay, good. Everything should be fine. Okay. If something happens with my Wi-Fi, I'll just start up later or I'll let you know. Okay. She brought me food from her restaurant several times a week, the best rice pudding ever. Since I had decided to go ahead with the project, though, our friendship felt strained. I did not know why, but it felt like she disapproved. So when she said she wanted to do the astrology reading with me, I was so excited to spend time with her. We planned to go 20 minutes west to tourist town Manitou Springs to shop and get the reading. This felt so good, not stressful at all. She was still my friend, so thankful for that. We walked all over Manitou Springs, but could not find one available astrologer. All were closed or booked. So we had fun, but not crossing off the task weighed heavily on me. I wanted to redo with Kate so much, but our schedules would not mesh. Summer was more than halfway over, and I was nowhere near being done. My panic attacks were growing more intense by the day, so I called Owen. This was not the kind of task I'd have imagined doing with him, but he was game. He couldn't make it for a week or two, but we scheduled an afternoon for the reading and the evening to write about it afterwards. Report. Mirror images. A short drive up Highway 24, Manitou Springs, is a tourist town with more hippies than you can shake a stick at. Quote, "Keep Manitou weird," sprawls across a banner in every parade. I had passed one astrology store countless times, its white stucco exterior making me think of Morocco. The wood floors and well-spaced displays were beautiful, with a wall of tea jars, herbs, aromatherapy oils, flower essences, dragon's blood oil, books, cards, witchcraft help, soap, candles, and even jewelry. A sign over the back room door made me smile. Quote, "In this life, many doors will be open to you. This is not one of them. Do not enter." Donna stood at the door as we entered, a tall woman with long blonde hair, a strong face, and heavily shadowed eyes. She watched us look around, then I left Owen and followed her down a dark hallway cluttered with boxes, through a doorway hung with a cotton scarf. Her office was tiny and jumbled with regular life: sunflower cookies, a water bottle, a to-go container. I scooted around the card table draped with a blue, white, and gold cotton tapestry with suns and moons scattered across it. 2 baseball-sized crystals anchored the drape, a kitchen timer and a laptop. No smoking incense, no tinkling bells, no overt effort to convince patrons that she knew it all. It felt like someone's office, like she lived there. I like it. If she knows her business, why would she need pretense? So 2 notes. One is that when I go back into first person in the book, it's italics. And then there are parts where they're from sort of more current day instead of back then, and those are in parentheses, and I'll let you know that. She came in behind me, letting the hanging fall over the doorway, sitting down in the chair across from me. "So, why are you here today?" she asked. Her voice was low and calm. "Well, it's my first time doing this, so," I said. "I usually do some astrology first, and then we look at the cards," she said. She typed into the laptop as I answered her questions. Name, when were you born, where? Why does she need to know that? I answered, then she said, "Good." Why good? And at what time? "I think it was a little after 1 p.m., about 1:15, I said. Parentheses. That was wrong, I discovered later, so perhaps her conclusions meant nothing. She typed for a minute, then started talking and did not stop until I asked her a question. "You have found the people to whom you belong," she said. "My tribe," I said. "Yeah." "Yes," she nodded. With Jupiter here, she pointed to a spot on my chart, "you'll be teaching, writing, and learning all your life." "Yes," I said. She mentioned nothing of the trauma of Leo's birth, but that would be in his chart, not mine, I supposed. "You will experience financial betterment by the end of the year, a new or remodeled home next year, and 2 long trips next fall, she said. It sounded about right with what I planned for the book. After 8 years in the 12th house, Pluto is moving to your first house, so you're in the middle of a big change, she said, her eyes measuring. Her tone sounds like a warning. Why would I need that? Parentheses. I wonder now if she saw what has actually happened. Perhaps she could sense the transformation roiling. So much of what she said was accurate to either the past or my expectations of the future. It went very fast, her kitchen timer clicking the whole time. We have 5 minutes left. Would you like to ask me a question of the cards? Her hand hovered over a tarot deck. My mind went blank, but then one question rose like a toothache. You know, maybe I'm an optimist, but no, I don't. She raised her eyebrows. I don't really want to risk hearing something negative about anything, I said. Parentheses. I was afraid of tarot. It felt like too much like doom and gloom, and I needed none of that. And the timer dinged. After Owen's turn with her, while he perused fragrances, Donna came up to me and quietly said, Your charts are exact mirror images of each other. Parentheses. I wonder now if they really were. I wondered then why it meant so much. I wonder now, still, what she would see with my accurate time of birth. I held my face still, like I didn't care, like my heart wasn't pounding, like that hadn't been the question. Really? I asked. What does she mean? In that moment, I realized Owen had become my best friend, at least for this time. That the stars seemed to confirm what we'd already spoken, that if past lives are real, we already knew each other, and we knew that we'd be in each other's lives until we died. It made perfect sense. And he was leaving, moving to Portland in the fall. I was always the one to move away. I breathed again. She looked at him, then me, said, yes, and then walked to the back. We bought some tea and left. Have you ever done that? I asked him, assuming that he had. Nope, he said. His eyes were thoughtful. How did it go? She got a lot of stuff right, he said. It was weird. She got almost 3/4 of stuff right for me, I said. Our silence felt like a bird's wing. Flotsam and froth. See the kitty. After leaving the astrologer, Owen and I walked around Manitou Springs, looking, not talking much. I love this place, I said, as we went into Black Cat Books. I've been wanting to come back here to write in the window seat downstairs for weeks, since I stopped by the other day. Excuse me. Its white walls were crammed with bookshelves, a wine glass rack over the register, coffee machine, and a row of wine bottles. Downstairs was filled with books too, and art, cushy chairs, couches, and tables. I headed for the window at the end. Isn't this great? I asked, beaming. Yes, definitely, he said. The window seat was about 6 feet deep, cut into the rock of the store's foundation, overlooked a creek, and was lined with big pillows and an Afghan. I need to write for a bit here, I said. Do you mind going away? Not at all. I climbed up into the seat. I looked at Owen from my perch. His head was tilted, smiling at me, and the light from the window made his blue eyes glow. He put his finger to his lips, still smiling. I started to tremble and looked away, moving further into the window well. I looked again, and his back was to me, head still cocked, looking at the shelf of books opposite. The light shone on his hair. I was shaking. Tears filled my eyes, and I turned to the window, pen in hand, poised over my paper, ready. If I looked down to write, though, the tears would fall. So I turned to the water, inhaling deeply, trying to steady myself. What is going on? Is it the coffee? I really don't need to drink caffeine. It amps my intense self. I watched the creek swirl directly below me until my eyes unfocused and I could breathe again. The tears stopped, but the sensation kept going, and I wrote this. I want to be at the swirl of life, where the water meets the rock, tumultuous and frothy. I could be the calm stream before the rocks, but I would have to try so hard I'd die. So much of civilization is built upon the steady flow, but the rapids are alive. What is happening to me? I look at the water, and I am there, and I feel it in my gut and loins, and I shudder, and my lips part and will not close. My tongue is stuck on the roof of my mouth. My nostrils flare and tremble. I am the water, the froth, with rock beneath and sky above and rapids ahead. It goes down to my toes, the tingle of it. I cannot return. Water is seeping into this journey, rushing, crashing through. What will it wash away? What will it cleanse? What will it irrigate? Where will it go? Will it ever stop flowing? It's like little and big pieces of flotsam are breaking free in my mind, and they are polluting and enriching the stream of me. I have to work to unclench my jaw. Am I the flotsam, or the rock, or the water? Am I all of it, all at once? What is this feeling, this state? I am intensely aware of every single sensation, every one. I can barely walk and need to lie down on rock and feel the earth steady me, to breathe with it, with her, to find reality in the clouds, to see what I must see. I finished writing, and though I didn't look Owen in the eyes much, we walked up the hill to a cafe to eat. I was supercharged. Everything around me, chairs, people, trees, food, was outlined in light, essence revealed, meaning oozing from every single part. I tingled from head to foot. Owen went to get our food, and I wrote, "One goal of my life is to simply be, without thinking or being aware of the effects." A gnat lands on my knuckle. He tries out his wings. He flies. A mosquito bite on my left forearm was quarter size. I haven't scratched it, but it grows. That's how this stretching and cracking open and breaking apart inside me seems. I'm not scratching, but I fester. On the way back from Manitou Springs, we stopped for tea and dessert. Owen went to the restroom. I scribbled. The fan flickered shadows of my hand on the page, projecting my state of mind. We talked for a couple of hours. I don't remember what he said, but something made me laugh. I agreed with it so much. Still laughing and looking down at my brownie, I said, "I love you, Owen, middle name, whatever." I looked up as I said "you" to see Owen's mouth shed its smile and his eyes become softly serious. "I love you too, Janae." Parentheses. Did he really say it back, or did I imagine it? Deep inside myself, I saw this. On the surface, where I lived then, I flitted past. We talked about his being a vegan. May I ask you, well, a sort of sensitive question about that? I said. Sure. So, do meat eaters, smell differently from vegans? Owen lowered his head a little, his eyes steady on mine. I'm going to say this just once, Janae. I stopped breathing. I thought I had been kidding, but I suddenly knew I wasn't. In some ways. Ah, I said. Does he mean what I think he means? You mean, in some ways, vegans don't smell as strongly as non-vegans, he said slowly. That's all I'm saying. The next day, I started eating less meat. Parentheses. At the top of my mind, I thought maybe if I tasted better down there, Jack would want to try oral sex again. Underneath, in my subconscious and secret heart, Owen's preferences mattered, but I was blind to it. I was unsatisfied by Donna's reading, not because it wasn't good, but because there wasn't time for her to explain astrology itself. I borrowed a book on it, read it in one night, and still understood little. So I asked my friend Julie to do a reading for me. Her hippie mother and grandmother both practiced astrology, and Julie had been reading the stars for years. She printed out my chart, thank you, Internet, and over wine and coffee, her reading amazed me. It was scary good, so heartfelt, rich, deep, and meaningful, and so wrong. Both of these readings were based on an incorrect time of birth. I was born at 1:50 p.m., not 1:15 p.m. or 12:50 p.m. And because natal astrology charts depend on the positions of the planets, some aspects shifting every few minutes, the time of birth matters. Journal. I was amazed at how my natal chart dovetailed. It all matters. I was amazed at how my natal chart dovetailed with my Myers-Briggs personality preference, INTJ. Throughout this summer, people have praised me for being disciplined. I was taught such disdain for my natural intensity. Why do we all hate ourselves so much? I've never thought myself disciplined because I didn't get up an hour early every morning to pray and exercise. I know my parents loved me, so it had to be the church. Does any sacred culture think well of people as they are? I am going to repeat that. Yeah. Does any sacred culture think well of people as they are? How would my life have been different if my mother had gotten my natal chart read? What if she had seen my, quote, bossiness as an asset instead of a flaw and taught me to hone and refine it? What if I had been given the tools to be as intense and loving as I am instead of being taught to fear it? It's not only religion. Our entire culture damps down people, especially women. She's just too much. Drama queen, obsessive. So much of it is tied to a paternalistic society and its fear of strong women. And yet intense people so often change our world for the better. Why do we punish them? My goal as a parent is to cultivate my children and support them in understanding their personalities so they can maximize their strengths and go for it, this one life of theirs. Maybe I should do their natal charts. Journal. It's August, and I'm in the home stretch, beyond determined. Do I need to rein myself in? Excuse me. A friend said, when you describe your growing up, you talk about houses and places, not people. Most people recall relationships, childhood friends, and what they did with them. That was almost 2 weeks ago, and it's finally sinking in. It seems like you were very isolated growing up. Well, duh, but I hadn't thought of it in those terms. My family and I were isolated to the extreme. Physically, societally, relationally, and spiritually. Normal for pastors' families. The Nazarene Church's pastors averaged 2.5 years in one place, barely long enough to make friends, let alone fight, lose, and reconcile with them. Skills everyone who has lived in one place learns. I learned different, still valuable, skills. Adaptability to change, how to get along with anyone, even strangers, leading small groups, getting up in front of people to speak, teach, or sing, a sense of people's moods and intentions. But I'm dancing around it again. It's been a painful, moody few days. I've been crying a lot, sad. I feel like I'm mourning who I could have been. I'm so insanely afraid of losing friends. My good friends My good friends indulge me, writing, "I'm not mad at you, I'm just busy," when they don't have the time to call, to email, or call back immediately. But even though moving 13 times was out of my control, I feel guilt at friendships lost. I should have been a better correspondent, more intentional about staying in touch. It was my fault, not theirs, or my parents, for deciding to move. Perhaps what I always took to be just me is trauma. Sure, it resulted in a rich imagination and keen observational skills, but oh, the cost. Will my children be stunted in some ways because they have roots? Journal. After writing down what I've done, I feel much better about what I have left to do. Even though many tasks got complicated, becoming 2 or 3 things, I have 10 things left to finish in 3 weeks. I can do this. I will do this. This is your journey. I finally got an accurate reading. I was almost resentfully nervous and defensive. What if the accurate reading is less than favorable? What if it's awful? If it tells me I'm awful? Or that I'm great but going to have an awful life? This was why I had refused to do tarot or astrology before this. I do not like being told something is unchangeable. To my mind, we create the universe every moment. It wasn't memorably different from the other reading. The one point fit perfectly. You're in a time of growth, getting in touch with your own truth. You don't have to ask 12 friends what they think you should do anymore, she said. Wow, that is completely true. At the beginning of the summer, I had to consult 12 girlfriends for wisdom and support. All it did was bring controversy, conflict, and uncertainty. And as only 5 of the 12 had responded to my request to join in over the summer, I finally understood it was my journey, not theirs, and I was alone in it. Though I still loved and cherished my ladies, I had been disappointed. Maybe I should have made time for more reports. Maybe that would have helped them understand and want to be a part of this journey more than they have been. But I don't know. Yesterday I came home, that's the end of the chapter, and no, Chandra, I got one, but not recently, and I've been, let's talk about that, because it would be interesting to do now. After last night, as I was going to sleep, actually, just reading this, one thing that really sticks out at me, and I don't know if it's being self-critical, it probably is a little bit, but I've had friends read this and say, I had no idea you were feeling that way, and you hid that really well, and I wish I had known. And part of the discomfort in reading this is realizing that I wish that I could have, I'm going to cry. I wish that I could have been a better friend. I could make it really simple and say, oh, no one did things with me and they're all bitches. You know what I mean? But it's not that simple. I feel like it was largely my deal as well, because I didn't know who I was, and I was a mess. But also I was so much that, and so focused on being strong and disciplined and all the things that I saw wrong with myself, that I don't think I was really able to connect. I see you guys, and I know that we have connected really amazing. Like, I have amazing friends out there, and yet a lot of me feels like if I see you out there, I'm meeting you for the first time, because I've shed so much of just fear of what you think of me, or fear that I'm going to say the wrong thing, or that's what this whole book is, right? It's like fear, 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 fear. And so I kind of want to apologize to all my friends and just hug you, and say, I liked you. I don't know if what I was showing you was me, but although clearly it is, because a lot of, I haven't changed in a lot of ways, but it probably like pushes me, if I'm going to turn this into a teaching, preaching moment, it's like, if you can at all, if it's at all possible, figure out a way to deal, with the stuff that keeps coming up. Because I finally am, and it's really tiring and uncomfortable and intense, but I am. And I feel like I can actually love you guys and love people and really connect so much more now than I was able to in here. My inner dialogue, I mean, again, superpower, analytical, and self-critical. I don't judge you guys and I don't judge other people, but I do know I reserve it for like driving and myself. So driving where people can't hear me, you don't want to hear me. Whoo, I'm a bitch. But but now I want to let it all go. And it's a slow process, but I'm doing it. Chandra, I did get one, but it was 2 years ago, or no, it was like back then. And I have like the chart, but nothing from like a professional. That would be really fun to do. If anyone wants to go do our charts together, let's do that. Maybe an aura reading as well. Let's just get crazy, right? I'm gonna make this one a short night. Tomorrow night, I hope you can join me. It is gonna be the epic, oh my God, the epic chapter of when I went to my very first real big rock concert. 311. I know it's not Slayer, but I thought it was huge. And I had been listening to them all summer long, and they had saved my life, and I love them. And I went to Red Rocks, which is amazing. And it's like a 30-page chapter. So we will dive into that tomorrow night. God, I love you too. And sorry, I've been like, this is kind of exhausting and I'm kind of tired. So I'm all weepy. I get like either I say that's what she said too much if I'm really tired. I don't finish my sentences, or I get weepy and over emotional. I don't need alcohol to be like this. That's a scary thing, right? So I hope you guys have had a great Monday. And if you haven't, I hope this is maybe made it better. I don't know. And I'll leave you with my son's top hamburger cat thing. I'll see you tomorrow night. Okay? Take care of yourselves and be gentle. Bye. And the more awkward